black woman in there, but just women in general. She's absolutely amazing. She is. I'm so intrigued by all that you're saying and taking it in. And
You have to throw in the black because the
you have to do
blackness
it.
can't be separated. Just
It
saying.
can't be separated. All right. So black, strong black woman,
Woo!
doggone it. So thank you to Zara once again. Your staff is absolutely amazing. Absolutely, she's just been hands-on,
She's
flowing with me.
fantastic.
Yeah, she's fantastic. You know, and big shout outs to my crew that helped me, Danae, Karen, everybody that's just been doing everything. We're here with a lady that's giving us the realness. That's what I'm going to say. It's the realness. We're finally talking to somebody as us, as ourselves. We're not talking to a politician. We're talking to Laura, who is Miss Lindo, who is just giving us the realness of everything. And we were here discussing, because the time got cut off, and my apologies, I should have watched it better, but I was just so in awe of everything. We were talking about, you know, how you and the policing and you know the racism is affecting everything, and everybody has that situation. Let me just jump into here. What is your opinion of defund the police movement?
So my understanding of the defund the police movement is it's a call to invest in us. And so as a politician, I'm in this position of privilege and influence. And part of my job and part of the most important part of my role is that I translate what is happening on the ground into actionable things inside the system, right? And so they call to defund, and my job is to say, okay, what is standing in the way for Black and Indigenous communities to get what they need to feel safe and secure? Because right now, when I see police, like me, Laura May, I see police officers, I am nervous. The other day I went to Queen's Park with COVID happening. There aren't that many of us there, so it's not like you're surrounded by people in a crowd. And at one point I was walking into this hallway and there were 10 police officers. Security and police now wear similar uniforms. And they were all in this hall, and I literally stopped, and I'm supposed to be able to do whatever I want. I stopped and I asked if I could walk down the hallway. Like, how am I'm a grown woman. What, right? Because I'm Black.
Yeah.
Right? That is
Yeah.
why. And
Yeah.
so I say that because what is the point of me pretending like I see all the police officers and I feel like everything's okay? It's not true. I'm just as worried and I'm just as concerned, and I hear what community is saying. So when I try and translate it from my position of influence, it means we need better policies that invest in, some people will say, decolonizing the systems. So for instance, we've got to make sure that people take seriously the fact that when Black folks go to the healthcare system and say they're in pain, a lot of people think they're just trying to get drugs. We need to know that is real, and we need to stand by people who are fighting that, right? I did a stand-up with John River. His story was all over the news, about his foray into the healthcare system when he was just like 23, right? And all of this stuff, like major issues, he could have died. And here we are, because of racism, stopping people from getting the help that they need. How many examples have we heard of people calling because they're having mental health breaks and they end up dead at the end of that call to 911? That's not okay. That is not okay. And so there's things that have to change within the system, and there's investments that have to be made within all of our systems. And so that is what we fight for. When I hear defund, when I hear defund on the streets, I go back into Queen's Park and I say, folks, we need to invest in things, because there's no way for you to invest without actually shifting money around, right?
Correct.
There's priorities. And so our priorities have to include us. Government priorities have to include us. And they have to take seriously the kinds of issues that we are bringing to the fore. And we will just keep talking about it and bringing it up. I'll bring it up in all of the different places. I bring it up in the hallways. I bring it up inside Queen's Park. I bring it up in my debates. I write letters. I do all of the things. I use my social media to, talk about all of the things that I think are problematic. Even when, sometimes if I'm not at Queen's Park, I'll watch debates as they're happening, because you can watch it on TV. or you can
Okay.
watch it online at the ola.org website. Um, I watch it and I put on social how I really feel about the things, how I really feel about how
Right.
that's going to impact my community.
Yeah.
And I think that we have to keep doing that.
Okay. What do you think as Black youths? What could we be doing better?
Black youth.
Yeah.
I think that we have to find a way to ensure that Black youth are civically engaged, right? Because literally they are the lead. Like we always say this, it sounds kind of trite, like they're the leaders of tomorrow, but they are. Like they are literally at some point we're going to be out of here, and they are the ones that are going to take over. And so we need them to understand how these systems operate, right? So that they are ready and prepared to demand the change. And to be honest, I don't really have very much advice. Do you know the majority of the people that were organizing these BLM solidarity rallies, these were like
Yeah.
15, 16, 17-year olds. I was not doing that when I was 17.
Right. Right. Right.
I
Yeah.
was listening to King Turbo when I was 17. Um,
Ah!
I,
Ricky
I know.
Turner gets
I'm
a
like,
shout out.
I'm watching the time because I want to make sure that I can tune in. Like
Yeah.
I was not civically engaged. And so
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot that they're doing. I think it's more on, I'm going to flip it and say
Yes.
maybe what we need is to make sure that the adults around the youth are providing them with the support that they need to have their voices heard in all the places. Maybe it's the adults around that have to make sure that we're really listening and that we're not
Yeah.
dismissing, because they are not messing, man. They are not joking.
No. No. I mean, listen. I kind of. I wasn't joking, but I kind of, threw a little scenario out to Andrea, and I was like, I would like to be invited to Queens Park. I would like to
Oh,
stand up and look across and see, Mr. Trudeau, and I see Mr. Ford, and I would like to have my say as a person. I think Andrea's like dwindling in and see how we can make it happen. I'm not sure, but why
so
not?
come the interesting thing is that people forget, Queens Park, it's your house. You don't need an invitation to come up there. But
Okay.
one of the interesting things, like right now, it's COVID, so things have shut down,
Yeah.
so you can't necessarily go. But as soon as we get to the other side of that, coming to visit and coming to watch and all of that, it is a learning experience because you realize you can come to Queen's Park. This is your house. You can watch all sorts of stuff happen, but you aren't allowed to react. You aren't allowed to clap or scream or call people names. We've had all of that happen, right?
Right.
We've had people swear at the premier and get arrested from um, the gallery, right?
Yes.
We've
Yes.
had people asked to leave because they're crying, because especially during all of the fiasco around the autism program, families were coming every single day to look the ministers in the eye, to talk about the impact of the autism program cuts. And they would be told, you're not, you aren't supposed to react. I say that because that's what the system is. And we can change those kinds of things. Like that's the system though, right?
Yes.
And so it's
Yeah.
important for you to go up in there and see what's going on. It's important.
Yeah.
I realized, I think I was saying this to Andrea once. I was like, I realize now that by the time I did start to try and be more active when it comes to demanding things from politicians for Black communities, etc., I had been asking for some things that were actually impossible in the system as it exists right now,
Okay.
right? Or I
Yeah.
was asking the wrong level of government for things. Now, what we've had this discussion, like as the official opposition, and one of the things that we're arguing for is, guess what? It's not the community's job to figure out what level. It's my job as a representative to fix the problem. And if that means I have to speak to other levels of government to make it happen or advocate in different ways, then that's what I'm going to do. And so
Yeah.
again, I think that part of what you're seeing is that different people are up in here, and so different people have, like, I don't have time for certain things, My people don't have time for certain things. There's urgency for me to
No.
talk about certain things, right? And
Yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
disservice to talk about poverty, for instance, and poverty reduction, and not talk about the reality that a lot of Black folks are, and Indigenous folks are the ones that are in that system,
Yeah.
right?
I
It's
mean,
we have to talk.
you know, yo, how can, I have a question here. How can the people support or advocate, for, changes? You know, who does Queens Park listen to for that?
You know what? When everybody stands up, when more and more people are inundating our offices with letters about particular issues, things do change, right?
Okay.
So if we take an example of what was happening in the Peel District School Board, right? Everybody was complaining about racism in school for ages. Everybody's complaining. It was pressure from community in Peel and beyond, but specifically in Peel, that made the government have to take seriously the fact that we've got to find a way to address anti-Black racism in schools. So then they decided they were going to have the review. Fantastic. They put no Black reviewers on a review into anti-Black racism in the Peel District School Board. So then people, like, not when I say it as a member, they're like, oh, she's just being oppositional. But when the community is saying it and I'm giving examples, it's the reason why I need community to plug in so much. Because again, I can't do it by myself. They'll
Right.
make up excuses to ignore me, but
Yeah.
and I'll be annoying. I mean, I'll keep annoying them in case anybody's wondering. I will keep asking my questions and keep, but
Yes.
when I'm able to stand up and say, we just received 300 emails overnight about this issue. And then the media picks that up because the media is like, wow, that's newsworthy. A lot of people think this is important. And then all of a sudden you start to see change. I'm of the opinion, I don't care if the current government, if the conservative government takes full accolades for the change that they make for my people. I don't care. Is the change made? Are my people safer? Then I'll take it. So what I think we need is for people to plug in, and that can look like writing letters to our offices. I get people that will message me on social all the time, just to talk about particular issues. Like we have to keep the pressure on, and it's the masses that do that.
Right. Okay. I'm not going to keep you much longer, but I just have a few questions. I wasn't a fan of the eccentric, quote, all Black school. I wasn't a fan. The reason, not because of the teaching, but because of the separation. I didn't like that. How do you feel about it?
So one of the interesting things, the Afrocentric school, a lot of people don't realize like how the system shaped the narrative around that school.
Yes.
Because when it first started, the idea was, it's exactly what we're talking about now. The manner in which education happens doesn't
Yes.
center our people. It's not something that we understand in the way that the system is going out. It doesn't even talk about us, right?
Okay.
We don't have, so the idea was we need to have an approach that centers Black and African voices, that we have to take that seriously. Well, the Afrocentric school became through the media, oh, it's a Black only school. It's about segregation, except that's not what it was ever envisioned to do. It was about finding a way to nurture our approach to education and being in the world. And an African spiritual approach, there's nothing wrong with that, but there was no space for it, and there still remains no space for that inside the mainstream system. And so I think part of the way the systems operate, though, to like sort of, we get a crumb and we start to celebrate. Sometimes I think we celebrate too fast, right?
Yeah.
So now we've got a system that does some really cool stuff, and then all of a sudden you're thrown into the regular system because there isn't like a high school that you can go to. There isn't it's not the full way through, right? The other flip side is there are people now, like we're seeing it now, people are demanding Black history courses. People are challenging Black History Month. I honestly don't need a month to just celebrate things.
I've been saying that. I've been saying
what am
it.
I celebrating?
I've been saying it. I'm Black every day. I don't need this month.
Day.
Every day. So I'm not for it. I'm not a fan. but I don't, I just go with some flows sometimes. But I'm not a fan. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not a fan. I don't.
I think that that's part of where maybe going back to your other question, that's where we need to be specific in our advocacy. I don't need one more day to celebrate my blackness. I am fine. I am happy with my blackness. I am proud of it. I am black and proud. I don't need anybody else to celebrate that. But I do need somebody to address anti-black racism in and name all the sectors. Right.
Agreed.
And when it comes to celebrating Black History Month, I don't need a celebration. What I need is to learn from our ancestors.
100, 100. Don't move. I just don't want my phone to die on you. Don't move. I'll be
Okay.
right back.
Hey,
That's part
everybody.
of WIZOLOgy show. That's part of WIZOLOgy. It's just the realness of everything here
Yeah.
with the phone dying
Hey, my
and
phone
the
nearly
phone
died.
shutting
That's
off.
why I was sideways for a bit.
Oh, for real?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's okay. So that's how we're living right now. That's how we're living. Um, my final question to you is
Yes.
how, you're writing it in your constituency, right? Oh, there we go. You're bright again. With your writing in your constituency, how does the, ways of anti-black racism show up or impact the life and the work of some people in your writing? And how does it affect all of them?
So it shows up in all the same places as everywhere else, to be honest, right? Like, there's a program called Black Brilliance. They do it every
Okay.
year through the Waterloo Region District School Board.
Mhm.
And it's fairly new. I think they've only done two so far. And it came because a lot of Black students were experiencing racism, anti-Black racism in the school system. And so a very amazing equity worker, Deepa Aluwalia, who's in our board, started this Black Brilliance thing. Right. And so she brings various speakers and they do like really Black focused education. So I was there the very first year. I was called back to come back again the second year. And I was on a Greyhound. My schedule is a mess. So I was on a Greyhound on my way from Queen's Park direct to this Black Brilliance thing. I was reading a report by Carl James around anti-Black racism in the school system in Peel, to be honest.
Okay.
And I was taken, there was this story of this, I think it was like a grade 7 student who said that they hear the N word called every day at school, every day,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So I am if you have not noticed, I make everything up at the last minute. Like I do my homework and stuff, but
Yeah.
I like to keep it fresh, keep people
Yeah.
on their toes, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So I go in, I didn't have a plan of what I was going to say, but I was talking to these kids. It's like 100 of these students, Black students, and I said, how many of you hear the N word at school? And literally everybody raised their hand. And I said, and how many of you have the N word thrown at you, like it's directed at you? And only about half of them put their hands down.
Right.
And so I said, the teachers were all sort of around the periphery of the room. And I said to like I cried, first off, I straight up cried. And then I said to the teachers and the adults in the room, you need to remember that moment because we don't talk about that, right? We celebrate too much. And it goes back to, so what am I celebrating? Don't celebrate Black History Month if I have a kid who's in, I don't care how many kids are, if there's one that is hearing the N word leveled at them at school, that is one too many.
It's one too
That is
many.
one too many. And
Yeah.
so that's the kind of stuff that I hear. I hear stories of, all this typical things. You're followed here, and you go into a store and they're asking you all of that kind of stuff. And you
Yeah.
see it in every day. Like when it comes to high paying tech jobs, so I have the tech sector here, there are not very many Black folks that are in the tech sector here, right? And this is like the second, I think they say it's the the next Silicon Valley in Kitchener Center where my riding is. And I'm working, and this is part of where uh, this is what advocacy can look like. I'm working with folks in the tech sector here to connect them with the Canadian Black Chamber of Commerce and the Black Business and Professional Association to try and create pipelines for Black folks into the tech sector here,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so who would think about doing that? Black people. right? So elect more
Of
Black
course.
so that
Yeah.
we can have our needs become central in the work that's happening. And the
Yeah.
tech sector is totally open. Sometimes they just don't know what to do because the history of discrimination in employment is so huge,
Yeah.
right?
Huge,
It's
huge,
huge.
huge, huge.
It's huge.
Wow. Miss Lindo, I'm going to tell you this. We've been speaking for almost an hour and 30 minutes right now, and it's just insane. And I promise out 30 minutes, like, but you know, what you're saying is like, if every politician could just remain true, like how you are, I think the lives of people would be better. And I'm talking all cultures. I think just politicians in general.
Mhm.
You, though, I think what's bestowed upon you now with the people around the world, tuning in, somebody says, give us an hour more. No.
My children are hungry. I
Yes,
just
you
want
know.
you to know that these kids have not been fed.
Okay, we're gonna get off. We're gonna get off. We're gonna get off. But I think that what's bestowed in you might have a, a little bit more difficult job because of the pressure that's amounted in the world today,
Hmm.
that we need more of you
Hmm.
there. Even myself, I'm not bestowing anything upon myself, but myself to be, we have a connection, and I have a connection with a lot of many people. Um, and it is absolutely necessary that people who are as bright and as young, as intelligent as you are, reach a level to help us elevate and the next generation elevate. So I'm hoping that people could reach out to you or the caucus members to try and elevate that. And I'm hoping that if there's anything that you need, you could call on me to help to spread the word, because I could reach people like that.
Yes.
And I think that's what we need, working in hand. As
Yes.
much as I know that you're there and you're in that position, you might need something from me, like how I need your voice in Queen's Park. So I appreciate you. And I want to make sure that Zara keeps in contact with me at all times, so we could, you know, help whatever movement you have. I trust it. I trust it, and I want to make sure it's presented across the board, not just Kitchener have you,
Yeah.
across the board have you. So I'm really, really proud of you, and really, really want to say thank you for what you're doing, and I appreciate you a whole lot.
Thank you.
You see what I'm saying? So get going, go feed the kids. You know what
I'm
I
gonna go
mean?
feed the children.
Go feed the children. But thank you.
Bye, everybody.
We hope we have another time, and you
Yes,
know, later
for
on down
sure.
the road. Thank you. 7:30. Remember 7:30. Ricky Turbo. 7:30.